Welcome, everyone, to the PTSD Buddies podcast. I'm your host, Jamie McWhorter. PTSD Buddies podcast is a podcast that's dedicated to allowing people to share their stories about their PTSD or their mental illness. And I have another member of PTSD Buddies today that shares her story. Her name is Michelle. She lives in Ontario, Canada. Now, Michelle is a bus driver. And one day, while on her route, she witnessed some trauma, some very big trauma. I won't go any further into that. I'll let her tell her story. But not long after that day, she was in a very bad car accident, and she tells how this changed her life, how PTSD entered her life, and how it changed her as a person. So without further ado, stay tuned, because here comes Michelle from Ontario, Canada. Hey PTSD buddies, welcome to another episode of our podcast. And I'm here with a good friend of mine, Michelle. Michelle, how's it going?
Hey Jamie, what's going on?
Michelle, my TV buddy, hey? My TV buddy. Yeah.
The things that we do to help support people with PTSD, that was a pretty awesome experience, and I'm grateful that you asked me to participate.
Yeah, it was amazing for me too. For anyone who is wondering what we're talking about, Michelle and I participated on an episode of You Can't Say That, and it's filmed in Montreal, Canada. And we were both on season 2, I believe it was, Michelle, the PTSD episode.
Yeah, with my face actually as the promo photo on the front.
Yeah, and you did a really good job. I like to say we both did a good job.
Absolutely. It shows a different character, like the different characteristics of people's personalities and coping, for sure.
Yeah, and I have to say, to the people of that show, You Can't Say That on CBC, for me personally, it was a great experience how they made me feel very comfortable. For somebody like for myself as a veteran and dealing with PTSD, going into a strange building makes me sweat, makes me full of anxiety and everything. And
Absolutely.
the moment I walked through that door, there was no anxiety. They made me feel so comfortable and so at home. So big shout out to those people out there.
Yeah, the producers, and they were all great, and with me too. So very patient and comforting. It was great.
When I left there, I said to my wife, I think they're trained in mental illness or mental wellness, because man, they made me feel good.
Right, yeah.
So Michelle, like me, you've been dealing with PTSD for years now. I know, because you're a friend of mine. You've dealt PTSD into your life through workplace trauma. When it entered your life, when did you first notice a change? And was it you that noticed the change, or was it somebody else?
That's very interesting. There was actually the initial event that actually caused my PTSD symptoms to start happened in June 2018, and it was the second event that actually in September caused me to have no choice but to realize that my mind was breaking. The first event was a bit troubling, but I didn't want to accept that I couldn't handle it. What had happened is I actually am a professional driver, and I drive a bus for the city. And so when you drive a line, you get regular customers, and so you get to know people and where they get off. And
sure,
there was a 10-year-old girl last day of school who had gotten on, and the kids they would usually only go one stop because they were just taking it so they could catch their transfer bus. and she got off with two other girls, and they decided that they were going to try and catch the bus by running across a red light.
Oh.
And so the two girls who were with the 10-year-old girl were actually 11 and 12. So the first girl was 12. She led the way, and the other two followed. But the 10-year-old girl didn't actually make it across because she got hit by an SUV.
Oh my goodness. Right in front of
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Like I was gripping the steering wheel thinking, oh my gosh, this is the first time in my whole career that I have not said to the kids getting off for school on any of my routes, watch for the cars, don't just cross on the red. And it was the first time, and I actually, that is one of my hard points to cope with, because it makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel responsible.
You immediately blame yourself. I understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
That was not your fault, by no means.
Well,
But I
that's a long
understand.
discussion.
I understand your feelings. I understand. I have
Mm,
moments like that myself where people tell me it wasn't my fault, but I still feel it. Yeah, I understand.
and so I ended up going in and just talking with the management, and I took the rest of the day off. It was
Of
actually the day
course.
before my weekend
Yeah, of course you
started.
did. Oh my goodness.
So I thought, you know what, I'll just take a couple of days. And my uncle was kind enough to invite me to go up to his cottage and just, have some quiet,
Chill out.
decompression, and fresh air. And it was great. And so I thought, okay, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. I was told it's like riding a bike, you get back on. So I went back to work, and I started to become very angry. I had outbursts with people who I felt had made stupid decisions.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
why would you cut off the bus? Why would you, come around the bus when I'm letting passengers off? You could hit somebody. And, I would open my window and swear at drivers.
I can relate so
So,
much to this.
and it got to a point where, if a customer kind of, walked on and tapped their watch and said, "Hey, why are you late?" I'd be like, "Well, do you want me to drive safely?" Like, you can't mouth off to people.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. It's part of your job to not, feed negativity. And I was losing control of that, and I didn't even realize. And then it was just a few months later, on September the 10th. I was driving on a street. This was a Sunday morning, and there were cars standing on the curb lane, waiting to go in to park at this restaurant. And so I had to change lanes. And as I approached the driveway for this restaurant, a girl came out from the driveway, and I T-boned her with the bus. Now, I don't remember the accident. This is through cameras and witnesses to the accident, people on the bus, because I blacked out. It was too much.
Yeah.
I hit the back of my head on the bus, so they thought maybe it's just a mild concussion and things will come back. Well, it still hasn't, and it's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So, do I wish it will? Sure. You know, coming to coming into awareness with people yelling at you, open the door so we can see if she's okay, is troublesome, because I was already having my first panic attack.
Yep.
Um, I was disoriented. I was crying. I was pacing. I didn't know what to think. The windshields of the bus were out, because her bumper had come off, and so the glass in front of the driver actually went in, and the other one went out. So, like, I don't remember the glass. I ended up going to the hospital, um, by ambulance from the accident scene because of my mental health, which, you know, waiting for the ambulance was hard.
I bet.
Um, being taken, like, my body was in spasm, and, you know, huge kudos to first responders, because I was very lucky to have somebody who was very patient and, wasn't treating me like a drama queen, or, they were trying to help me mellow out and learn how to just relax my body. And but this led to, unfortunately, um, me being taken to the hospital and put into a room that needed a key fob to get out. And I panicked, and now hospitals are a trigger.
Yeah.
Uh, fire trucks and sirens, they're a trigger. I, unfortunately, what happened, my mind just couldn't take any more. My fight or flight would not dissipate. It was it was confusing and very emotional. That's for sure.
Well, I imagine right from the moment of the first incident, that
Hmm.
put your senses and you on high alert. That's what I call it. And that's what a lot of
Hmm.
veterans call it. When we go overseas, we're on high alert. Our eyes are
Right.
peeled. We're always looking, for
Yeah.
danger and stuff. And
Yeah.
when you flick that switch on, it is super duper hard to switch it off, right?
Yes, that's
So
that's very true.
once you witnessed what you seen in that first incident, you
Hmm.
were on high alert. And that's why every
Yeah.
person that did something that interrupted your safety, you lashed out at them because you can't, you just don't want another incident like that. They don't
Yeah.
understand what you've seen. You don't, like, you're basically telling them without words, saying you don't want to see what I've seen. So
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
follow the rules, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Back to
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
a line.
Yeah. As a veteran, I sympathize with that because I understand that. Yeah, I still go through that, and
Yeah.
and I can understand why that can be triggering. And then you had the second incident, so that just was like gasoline on an already fire,
Yeah. Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see how the sirens and everything are triggering because it reminds you of that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. um, I, I have, I don't seem to be able to get away from that trigger either, because I live down by the lake, and I live on a main street, and the ambulance and fire trucks and the police all use this as a transit route to get to their locations. So it's a daily occurrence that I hear sirens.
Oh, that sounds like fun. My
Yeah, if I could
goodness.
afford to actually move, I definitely would have already done that by now, but um, it's okay.
So what do you do when you get triggered by one of these sirens going by?
Um, uh, I've actually realized that I shut off.
Oh, really? Hey.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I actually do see a therapist once a week.
Yeah.
Again, I'm very fortunate to be able to still be able to speak with her, um, and she has explained, shutting off is dissociating because you can't deal with what's going on at that moment, and because of my disassociation, I lose time in my day, and
Sure.
1 minute it's 1 p.m. and I'm thinking, okay, when am I going to go and walk my dog? And the next thing it's 7 p.m.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, and I have no recollection. Like, what did I do? What was I thinking?
Mm.
What was I doing? There is still
Yeah.
too much difficulty. Yeah,
Yeah. You hear about lots of people who have moments like that when they're driving. Hey,
yeah,
they're driving across a province in Canada or across
yeah.
a state in the United States,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my God, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Where did the last hour go? My God, I was
Yeah,
driving."
yeah. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Michelle,
Um,
do you still drive?
but I still drive my car.
Yeah.
I actually also have a motorcycle, but I'm not back at work yet.
Hmm.
I I I I'm still having difficulty thinking about going to work, about driving the bus, about sitting at that angle where you're a bit higher than you are in your car, and knowing how I had gotten so hyper vigilant after seeing the little girl that I I I I'm not sure that I can actually perform the way I would need to and not actually break my mind permanently.
Sure. Yeah. You
Yeah,
might still be on high alert if you get back on the bus.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. I think it's
Um,
amazing that you're back in behind the wheel because this didn't happen that long ago.
it was September 10th, 2018.
Yeah.
So,
A few years ago, but that's not that long for a trauma.
yeah, that's, to share it or not, self medicating and a support dog are a big way that I get through my days. But,
Yeah.
it's because I choose to accept that there are people who just don't understand, and I'm not going to hold them accountable for that. I do my best to try and get people to understand whatever they can understand. But it's the same with anything. Nobody actually understands unless they're experiencing it themselves to the full, you know, to fully grasp that is it's not possible unless you're actually have gone through it,
Yeah.
and which makes me super grateful to be part of your PTSD buddies groups because it's nice to not feel alone. It's nice to not feel like there really isn't anybody who understands, and
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know.
That's true.
Mhm.
Michelle, I want to go back to your story. I'm picturing you
Okay.
sitting in the hospital after
Yeah.
that second accident. I can't imagine the thoughts that are going through your head. I mean, how how long apart were the two incidents?
Um, the first incident was the last day of school in June, so September the 10th. Like that's like two and a two. 2 months and maybe a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, being in that hospital, in that room, um, it was, I can only imagine it's the same as what a rabbit feels like when they're cornered and somebody, or an animal is going to like eat it. Cause that's what I felt. I felt like, I wasn't in control. It wasn't my choice, which made it even worse. What were they going to do? Were they going to come and strap me into one of those white jackets and strap me to a bed and let me cry it out? Like,
yeah.
uh, what happens in there? Like, I was clueless because I've always just dealt with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of person were you before the accident? Are you would you consider yourself an outgoing type of person? And like being around friends, going out to, out for lunches or anything with friends?
Yeah, absolutely. You have friends from work, you have friends that you've had for a long time, and I was pretty social.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to have good friends. Whether it was at work or at at home, or um, even some family members, which is nice.
Yeah. Has
Uh,
since the incident though, has it made it more? I know we're in COVID, so it does
yeah,
make it more difficult to go out. But has the incident changed you in that manner, where you're more of a homebody now?
absolutely. It I I I don't even I don't want to go outside.
Hmm.
I don't want to take that chance in seeing something else that, I'm so afraid of my mind permanently breaking. Like, I don't know if, what I can handle in one day. One day to the next, things change. And, luckily I have my dog, which, forces me to go out. I have a nice little backyard behind my building where, it's further away if sirens are going on.
Yeah.
Um, but if it wasn't for him, honestly, I'm not sure where I would be right now, and that's fully the truth. That's
Is it your dog, like your pet, or is it a support animal?
um, so he is a support animal. Um, I did get him after I was off of work because of the accident, and it was suggested to me,
Yeah.
get something that will motivate you, that will, get you to do things, push your limits. And I was just very fortunate to get him. Like, he is the most awesome dog that I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool. I've heard great things about support animals. I don't have a support animal myself, but I do have three dogs that I love dearly,
yeah,
and they feel like support dogs to me because they really do cheer me up when I'm blue. I know that.
yeah, yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So you got home from the hospital, and
Mhm.
by the sounds of it, first thing, or not the first thing, but one of the main things you've been thinking about is getting back to work.
Yeah, the following taking a week off, I'm I, I'm so fortunate for so many reasons in my life. My family doctor is wickedly awesome. Like,
Yeah,
he
that's
is
good.
very supportive, um, and he said, "Okay, take a week off. We'll see how you're doing. because I was very adamant that I would be going back to work. And so I had convinced him after the week, okay, I'm going to go back to work. But I was supposed to return to work on Saturday, and Friday night, I was in such a panic attack that I had to call. Like, I know it's my responsibility at my job to, ensure the safety of the passengers on the bus, and it's my job to operate the vehicle safely. And I knew I just couldn't do that. So, I called to book back off, and I went to my doctor and said, I'm sorry. And he's like, don't be sorry. He said, but you know, um, don't try to be what you think other people want you to be. You need to know yourself, because you have a safety sensitive job, and you need to think about your wellness, because if you can't be okay, how can you do the responsibilities of your life or of your job? Like, he's so I've actually attempted to uh, go through the steps of convincing uh, people involved in my recovery that I'm ready to go back. And so that's been 6 times now. And now I've just accepted the fact that it's not up to me to fool myself, to think that I'm going to fool others that I'm okay, because I'm not. I still have super difficult moments where I just snuggle with my dog and stay in a dark room and have crazy thoughts and think about what I can not need to do, procrastinating and just trying not to have like the intrusive memories. Like, if I can just try to block that stuff out, um, you know, at least try to just get through that hour or that afternoon or that day is one of my biggest challenges.
More PTSD Buddies podcasts after a word from our sponsors. We are sponsored by the Tema Foundation. The Tema Foundation is a great foundation in Canada that helps first responders, military, frontline workers, the whole community deal with mental illness. The Tema Foundation strives to make mental health healthier for our first responders and frontline worker community. They've worked to create a free, I say again, a free online educational series that can help you cope with the daily stress, anxiety, and depression your career may bring you. PPE for Your Mind is a helpful collection of videos, ebooks, audiobooks, and much more. It's meant to help first responders, frontline workers, healthcare professionals, public safety personnel, military, and the important people in our lives. To all those who work to keep us healthy and safe, the Tema Foundation hopes PPE for Your Mind will help build your resilience as you continue to fight for the benefits of us all. Find PPE for Your Mind free along with other educational materials at www.tema.foundation. That's www.tema.foundation. You can make sure to follow the Tema Foundation also on all the social media, just to stay in the loop on all the things they got coming up, because they in the past have run galas and everything. So you really want to keep up on the Tema Foundation. They're doing a lot for Canada. And let me just add in, living in Newfoundland, I am the Newfoundland ambassador for the Tema Foundation. So check them out, the Tema Foundation. They are there to help. PTSD Buddies podcast is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Wellness. Spartan Wellness is a Canadian organization, and I'm proud to say that I'm a member of Spartan Wellness. I use medical cannabis, and one of the things that Spartan Wellness does is help people, Canadians, get medical cannabis if they need it. You don't need to be just a veteran or a member of the RCMP. They'll help anybody get medical cannabis. Now, that's not the only thing they do. As a veteran, they also will help veterans deal with Veterans Affairs. Veterans Affairs can sometimes get a little confusing with different. Now, this is not against Veterans Affairs themselves. They're a great organization, but sometimes veterans can get a little confused with filling out forms and everything, and Spartan Wellness is there to assist with that. They also assist with insurance and rehab platforms. They can help assist you with Veterans Affairs and setting up with your Blue Cross provider. Not only do they help you with your getting your medical cannabis prescription, they'll help you pick out the right licensed producer for you, because Spartan Wellness works with all the medical cannabis producers out there, and they can help you pick the right one for you. They also provide lots of medical cannabis education. So maybe you're not sure if medical cannabis is right for you. They're here to provide all the education you need and answer any questions you have. And they'll even help you get all registered with that licensed producer once you choose it. Okay, so check out Spartan Wellness at spartanwellness.ca. They are a great team. Cheers.
Said, like, Michelle, you just need to take the time. You need to take the time that you need. Like, don't worry about going back right now. And to me, I don't have a choice but to be strong. It's just the way I grew up, to be responsible and to weather through the difficult times, but still be the one who needs to be the responsible one. Like, that's just
Well, it's true too. Some people, and I'm guilty of this. The more I work, the less my PTSD gets in the way.
right.
Because my mind is occupied.
Right. That's exactly how I feel. That was one of my convincing points that I tried to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but chances are, and I know this too, because the job can be quite difficult. But it's not only the drivers on the road; it's not only the passengers. Not every coworker is nice. Not every person who works in a company is nice. You're going to end up having to face different situations, and if you can't handle it the way you're expected to, you're not in a good state.
Yeah.
Which is what I've had to accept. So I do the little things. I take responsibility for changing the water in my fish tank.
Yep.
I take responsibility for cutting my dog's hair. Luckily enough, I have my brothers who have really come to understand that my mental health is not where I would like it to be, and that bothers me, because that's not the position that I'm supposed to be in the family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm lucky that there's no pressure about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. Has you said your brothers or any of your family members who've known you your whole life, have they ever talked to you about any kind of changes, or how they've noticed a change in you?
No. That I think, like, earlier, like maybe within the first year, one of my brothers was like not understanding what it was like, thinking that one of the common statements that people who haven't experienced PTSD say, "Oh, just get over it," or oh, you're strong, you'll get over it, or like these invalidating statements that they don't realize how it's not actually encouraging. It's very discouraging because it isolates you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, you're scared of heights? Stop it right now.
Yeah. Go and work as a window cleaner in a high rise.
Exactly. Yeah. You're scared of heights? No, you're not allowed to be scared of heights. Go climb that
Yeah.
tree. Go climb that tree right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes no sense. Makes no sense. But yeah, you're right. People don't get it until they're in the thick of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With your PTSD, has anything else arise? I know myself with PTSD, I now deal with social anxiety. I have depression. Has anything else come upon your table?
Absolutely. Definitely social anxiety. And COVID hasn't helped that at all.
Yeah, I remember saying that to my doctor when we're talking about COVID. I was like, buddy, listen, if COVID is really this serious, I'm going to be the
Yeah.
last person on earth. Because what you got to do, stay in the house. Well,
Yeah.
fuck. I got that one nailed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
problem. That's my fucking problem. I don't go out. I can stay in, no sweat.
Yeah. No sweat. No
Yeah.
sweat there.
Thanks to COVID, though, I finished Netflix yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Different things that I have had to deal with and still do. Like I I am actually on two different antidepressants, and I also take a sleeping pill, and all that sleeping pill actually does is it helps me have a better quality of sleep,
that's good.
which most nights means nightmares that I don't remember, which is nice because I know, I've decided I've gotten so frustrated with having PTSD that, I'll stop my meds and I'll be like, I don't need to do this, like I'm fine. But, that even that first night without that sleeping pill um, is tossing and turning, sweats, heart palpitations. The nightmares are
Brutal. I
unbelievable,
can only imagine.
unbelievable.
I can
Yeah,
only
and
imagine. Yeah, you probably relive a lot of the incidents, eh?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Ab-
sleep is so important, but when you're having nightmares, who the fuck wants to lay their head down?
yeah, let me get up. See, and it's funny because um, I I I have learned now that I will not go to sleep unless I take one. So, I try my best the last few months to actually watch the time and think, okay, like this is a good time where I have to start getting ready to go to sleep. And you know, if I don't take that sleeping pill, it's not going to happen because it's like when it starts to get dark outside, like my pupils dilate, and then it's like the hypervigilance is stronger than it even is during the day.
Yeah.
So, the depression, um, I don't know if that's anything that can ever be totally taken away. And there's some very difficult, deep moments where nobody could ever begin to understand.
I have to say for myself, depression that I have is the worst one out of all of them.
Yeah.
When depression is hit, it's I can't even describe it. Um, I did take a video of myself one time when my depression was really bad.
Did you?
Yeah, and I stuck it on YouTube. It's on the
Yeah.
PTSD Buddies YouTube channel. And I just kept saying,
Mhm.
this is the face of PTSD,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
when I'm like that, I'm not in the mood to do anything, to go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at nobody. I'm just so, I don't know, like it's so hard to
Send.
explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, sad. And it's almost like my dog just died, but I'm in shock, so I'm not crying. I'm just sitting
Right.
there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it's,
totally understand. I totally relate,
yeah,
unfortunately, but you know, because have experienced this and still do, um, I I I see it in people, and I want to help. And you know, there are moments when I actually feel like, oh, I can't help. I
yeah,
want to help, but I can't. I can't even help myself right now. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, you want to help because you know what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
we, it's funny, hey? We all have different traumas, but the symptoms are the same.
Yeah.
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 And then people say, PTSD, well, you're not a soldier. Oh my God.
Yeah. Exactly. I've
Oh,
heard
as a
that.
soldier, let me say that's one of the things that really pisses me off. Now, I don't really get mad that often anymore. I'm proud to say I can focus my anger a bit,
Yeah.
but my God, I think it makes me more sad than it does anger anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
I uh I totally feel that. I sometimes, that loss of motivation, the helplessness
yeah,
and the hopelessness, you know, like even to just change that to hopelessness. Um, I, I just wish that it was possible for people to consider actually what other people are going through before they react or say something, or you know, think about what you say. Like that's probably one of the biggest things that I've tried to, you know, follow through my whole life. You
yeah.
know, consideration. And I, I I I don't deal well when I hear people say stuff like that, like invalidating people with PTSD
You get the
or whatever.
sarcasm.
Because yeah, because you know what, nobody with PTSD has to prove anything to anybody, and you know, I feel that that's a big reason why people end up self isolating, because the anger that they can feel because people don't understand,
For
you know,
someone,
can
someone
just
with
make it
post
worse.
traumatic stress disorder, it can be so hard to share their feelings, to talk about what's really going on inside. And if they do build up enough courage to share with somebody, to have that person that they're sharing with throw back sarcasm at it,
Yeah,
well, that could make a person do a lot of things. It could drive someone to suicide. It
yeah,
could make them bottle it up and never share anything again.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. That's absolutely true. It's it's unbelievable how true that statement is.
Yeah. And we get people now with post traumatic stress disorder who are killing themselves.
Yeah,
I've had veteran friends who kill themselves, and they call Veterans Affairs, and I'm not making fun of Veterans Affairs or any other organization, but they've called other organizations looking for help,
yeah,
and they build up the courage to make phone calls or go into these places, and they don't get the help, and they feel like, what's the point?
yeah,
Yeah. Or you
yeah,
get others. I know myself. There was a time when I was in a dark place, and I tried to kill myself. And my thought process at the time when I was going through that dark time was not to end my pain, but I thought I was doing everyone a favor. I thought, oh my
right,
God, here's this person, here's me who's yelling at everybody, who's not
yeah,
sleeping, who's punching holes in walls.
yeah,
Um, I'm better off just pulling myself out of the picture. Everyone would be better off. And that was my thought process. And I know it's a lot of other people's thought process at the time.
yeah.
And a lot of it has
Like,
to do with what you're talking about, the
yeah,
sarcasm, and
yeah.
the people not
Like for
thinking
me,
before they
those
speak.
dark moments are actually, um, I don't think about anybody else. Like I've actually, um, it turns into uh, a blank space that there is nothing to think about, you know, because everything has stayed in for so long, and, you know, not feeling understanding and not feeling, I can cope anymore with the dreams or the worries or, the stress, the mistrust,
Yeah.
the guilt. It's huge. Um, I I wish I could do more to help people who get to that point. Um, but all I can do is understand. How do you give support to somebody? I don't know. Like, I don't know when it comes to actually being that deep into your own frustration and
Well, I know by sharing your story, you're helping others. I talked to so many people with PTSD, and early on in the early on stages of their PTSD, they all have the same thing to say. They felt alone,
yeah,
right? They felt like
yeah,
they were the only ones with these feelings. And when people like you, Michelle, share their story like this, you're letting everyone know that you're not alone. There are other people having the same feelings you're feeling. Like might be going through or we've been through different traumas, but our symptoms are the same. Our struggles right now are the same. Our anxiety, our depression, it's all there.
yeah, yeah,
It's true, man. It's true. It's 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 rough, but it is getting better. It's slow.
yeah,
I know when I first started dealing with PTSD, you know what? It's hard for me to even understand when I first started dealing with it, because through my years of therapy, I mean,
mhm,
I thought my PTSD came from being on tour in the military, but I
mhm.
was in a house fire when I was in grade 3, and I'm learning that now that my PTSD kind of started from there.
Yeah,
So
wow,
yeah, who knows?
mm,
All I know is I'll just keep dealing with what I'm dealing with.
right. Like, I think, something important to mention is the road to recovery does not have a timeline. Um, you know, you learn different coping skills, and um, you're gonna slip, and that's okay. Like, um, you're gonna have behaviors that you may not be proud of. It doesn't excuse them, because you should still try your best to, you know, not react harshly to family members or people on the street. But, like, to be honest, a guy cut me off, and I actually, like, followed him, blocked him, got out of my car, banged on his window, and was just yelling at him in the middle of downtown. Like,
Yeah,
and to me, it's like, you need to take responsibility for that asshole move that you just did. Like, you're not going to get away with it. And that's one of the big things for me is taking responsibility for your actions. And that's the only way that I feel people will actually be more considerate before they actually go and make stupid choices like that. I think that every person who deals with some type of PTSD, um, you know, they can find the strength in themselves, because they've already made it to this point where they're realizing that they have PTSD. Like, there's hope, there's people, there's therapy, and I will never ever pill shame anyone,
good,
ever,
good. You
right?
shouldn't.
Uh, like, that's something that should never happen. People saying, "Oh, you can do it naturally." Well, you know what? No, my PTSD is strong, and um, a natural remedy for me right now is just not in the books, and it hasn't been this whole time. Um, so you try to become stronger. You try to have healthy behaviors. I am not in a position where I can say, you can overcome your PTSD. It's a hope that I have, but I don't. I'm in awe of people who feel strong enough that they can say I've made it through, because I can't right now.
But look at the stuff that you've already made it through.
Yeah.
You've made it through some really strong and bad times.
Yeah.
And you're still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah. You're still here.
Yeah.
You've been on TV sharing your story, for gosh sakes. You help people all the time in the group. Let me just say this to the listeners. Michelle in our PTSD Buddies group has taken upon herself to give cooking lessons to members in the group. She does live videos in the group and has taught members how to cook as an activity that they can do to help deal with PTSD. And Michelle, you're helping people all the time. You don't realize it. You don't realize it sometimes, but you are.
I think it's about time that we come up with another date for that.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of members really enjoyed it. They really spoke highly of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've had a great conversation about all this. Is there anything we're missing on your story?
I don't know.
You don't know?
This is one of my. This is brain fog for me. It's not a matter of it not being important, what has or hasn't been covered. There's just things that my mind just shuts off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you tell an incredible story. You've been through some incredible trauma. You were kind of hard on yourself because you tried to force yourself back to work very quickly. I'm glad you slowed down on that. I don't want you to give up, but you're from what I can hear and say, you're doing everything right, Michelle. Um, you're out there trying to get help, and at the same time, you're helping others, and you're finding things that work for you. So, as far as I'm concerned, you are beating PTSD. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you are beating it.
You are an awesome support, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Jamie.
Hey, well, we're PTSD buddies.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Michelle, it was such a pleasure again talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, it was great. So just stay on the line. I want to say goodbye to our viewers, and then I can say goodbye to you properly.
Okay.
All right, that's our episode for today, everybody. Thanks again for joining us at PTSD Buddies. Remember, if you or someone you know is dealing with PTSD or any mental illness, look for PTSD Buddies on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or you can check out our cool YouTube channel for a lot of helpful videos. All right, so see you next time on our PTSD Buddies podcast. Cheers, everybody.